Ready to have some fun?
Nick, true or false? You were scared playing this game and you needed help. You needed a friend by your side at all points.
I did. It's a terrifying game.
How old are you?
Hold up. You first, Mr. Thomas.
Take it slow.
And I usually don't like games that make me tense. I just don't like the emotion of tension while I'm playing video games. But when it's good enough and well executed enough, I can handle it.
The whole game has this very kind of like tight feel. I don't know if it's the field of view or what they did to change it, but it's like you feel very constrained. It's very tense the whole time.
Because of that, like when they want you to see something creepy going on, you're usually looking right at it.
Right.
And that's kind of where the game's at its best, I think, is when it's showing these little hints of like something dashing off your screen or like a little vision flashing in your,
right.
in your
and
face.
when you don't feel like your camera is being forced in that way, you're like, oh, I saw this thing, and I don't feel like it was necessarily as scripted as it could have felt.
And even if you do miss something that you're supposed to see, you're gonna hear it because the sound design is fucking brilliant in this game.
You can hear people on the floors above you and the floors below you doing things while you're searching on the floor you're currently on. And to be able to recognize that subtlety of the sound design and know like, oh, when I go upstairs I'm gonna have to fight some guys, like, that's just really interesting to me.
I never been to a doll factory, but I never realized how creepy that could be.
The part of that stage that I thought was more tense and ended up really liking was once you got the gas mask. The sound changes, your vision's clouded, and everything's internalized, and at that point, then that stage gets scary for me because then it's not about dolls, it's about fire and escaping. The end of the stage was just outstanding.
It adds to that layer, that subtle layer of claustrophobia that's there in the game throughout.
The graphics are really good. They kind of have that next-gen shininess to them still, but...
Same as the first game.
Right,
Yeah.
but like at the hotel, like all these little details, like everything seems like it was, you know, like lovingly created in
Yeah,
a way.
it seems like they thought things out. Every single environment looks differently and has its own identity.
It also helps too in the first one. I think the environment's really static. Like you'd see like a shelf with a bunch of things on it, and no matter what you did, beat on it, whatever, nothing would move. And in this, it's like I guess because of improved physics over time, you'll see like a pile of chairs on the ground, and if you kick it or walk over it, you can move them around. And it's like a little thing, but it makes the whole experience just a lot more cohesive when you can interact in some way with most things.
There's always an underlying tension to everything you're doing, but they do a good job of breaking up the genuinely scary parts with, you know, the investigation sections and stuff like that, which actually make you think.
I like that the puzzles are puzzles that you can solve environmentally and that, you know, you don't have to do them to advance. You're not required to finish each one in the exact one solution per puzzle way that you could do it in the last game.
Some of the questions they ask you sometimes are a little obscure, and you really have to be paying attention to the plot, which is also a good thing because it kind of forces you to like remember names and what's going on.
I agree. You're in a hotel room, like an abandoned hotel room, but a hotel room, and they want to know what room number you're in so they can come and find you. But the door number on the door is kind of like blocked out, so you can't see it all. So you end up like thinking like, where else can I? Oh, the telephone. The telephone's gonna have the room number on it.
How you did it?
Yep, the room number plus the telephone number, which also has like part of the number visible.
Oh,
you
nice.
can
Yeah, I just walked down the hall and saw the door.
Well, see, what I did is actually right at the entrance to the door,
Yeah.
the two numbers are down there, but the 9 is turned upside down, so it looks like a 6. So I went down the hallway and saw it was 221 and knew that it was
See, I
219
didn't
because
even
it was
look
right
at the
down the
base
hall.
of the door. I just went down the hallway. So
Yeah.
that's cool that we did it 3 different ways.
And yeah, compared to the first game, I think I like this one from what I played a lot better because the melee combat feels definitely refined.
You know, it's not like a Silent Hill game where I don't think to run away first. I think like
Oh, yeah.
L and R are right and left
they're gonna
punch.
find you if you
yeah,
run.
they're gonna come after me anyway. I gotta go fight these guys. There are things that are going to jump out and frighten you in this game. Like you'll be standing there, and then all of a sudden you'll realize, oh my god, behind me is an enemy. I want to go, oh my god, You want to mash, and you need to not do that, or else you will die.
And I never had a problem, you know, blocking when I had to, or throwing punches, because like there is some animation to them, so it takes some time. So if you're button mashing, you'd probably hitting it 3 times, maybe get 2 animations out of it. I mean, the first game was the same type of thing. It wasn't as smooth, but it was the same type of combat.
Sort of, except for in the first game, your combat was very deadly. Like if you came up and you hit a guy with like your 2x4 3 times, they went down. In this game, if you do not do the combos, you can punch someone 50 times and they will not go down. And you have to do these like punch, kick, punch, or left, right, left combos to build up a combo meter. And when there's more than one person that you're fighting, they can break your combo and thus, you know, negate your ability to fill your combo bar.
In that regard, the combat is functional. You have to like bend to the combat and know how to do that and respond to everything.
Right.
So therefore, the encounters are exciting because of how like the enemies are designed, how they come up on you.
The last game definitely felt like a melee combat game only, and then when you did get guns, it was just like this strange thing where you'd only have like 3 bullets, and,
it was awkward
it was
to
awkward
use.
to
Well,
fire
it was
them,
almost
but
like
now
a
it feels
power up,
like-
because it would just blow guys away, but be gone relatively quickly. So
Right, it wasn't like you were playing a shooter, I guess is what I'm getting at. But in this game, when you get guns, you have sights that you can look down, and I think that the gun combat actually feels pretty darn good. And we know that they're unlocking an FPS mode after you beat the game that lets you play through it like an FPS, and I think that could actually be fun.
Right, and it shows that they've put some effort into the gun combat, and they want you to experience it a little bit more.
The beginning of the game sets up that this is the sequel to Condemned. You know, we're going to take everything that was good about the last game and keep it. Everything that was bad about the last game, make it better. And then around 3 or 4 levels into the game, then you start getting the new stuff. And that's when it gets really exciting.
They almost take you out of your comfort zone of what you've come to expect with
From
Condemned.
Condemned, yeah.
And throw you in an environment that you're not used to interacting with in this series.
It doesn't just feel like Silent Hill in first person. It feels like that for a little while, and then a little bit of this, and then you're in a stealth mission, and then, you know, you're walking down this corridor shooter, and then this, and every part of it, even though the gameplay is very different, feels cohesive.
The parts I just haven't been thrilled with so far have been when they spend too much time away from the psychological stuff and just focus on those like corridor shooting stuff, and like that's fine and it's well done, but that's not why I'm playing Condemned.
Yeah, it definitely takes a turn, and I think it's more personal taste to whether you like that more or not. Because I would have preferred the more claustrophobic, scary stuff, because that's what sucked me in.
Anyway, I hope people decide to give it a look, even if they didn't see the first Condemned. I think you know, obviously the story's not going to make quite as much sense, but
It's not
it's
gonna
not
make
about
a lot of sense by the end.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think this game's about the story
If
really.
you're playing this game for the story, you're playing it for the wrong reasons. It's about getting the shit scared out of you, and this game does that consistently.
And visceral first-person melee combat.
There hasn't really been anything else like it. I mean, Bioshock is the closest for me between the 2 games, like in this sort of vibe, and it's like it still feels refreshing 2 years later, even though like looking at it for 5 minutes, it is the same game if you haven't played enough to appreciate the differences, but like it still feels new and it's still exciting and still definitely, I say, will be a sleeper again.